Hello everyone, and thank you for your interest in my session. This one's called Where in the World? An Introduction to VR in the Classroom. It is basically that. It's an introduction, kind of an overview of just a couple of different platforms that I love and use with students all the time. So I'm hoping that you take something from this introduction session to use in your classroom. So my name is David Carruthers. I am a Learning Technology Coordinator in the Thames Valley District School Board, which is located in the beautiful London, Ontario. And I am about 3 months away from finishing my role as a Learning Coordinator, and I'm super excited to be returning to the classroom. Don't know where, don't know what grade, but super excited to get back in there and use some of these tools a little more frequently because I'll actually have my own students to use them with. Fortunately, though, I've had teachers that are kind enough when I'm in this role to let me go in their classrooms and do some of this experimentation with their students. If you want to grab a copy of my slides today, in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see there's a bit.ly link. It's bit.ly/VRintroBit. Now, I had originally done a similar session to this at the Bit 18 conference in Niagara Falls, but I'm also bringing it to you here today. So let's get started. First of all, perhaps you have heard the term AR. And how is that different from VR? So I want to make that distinction. So VR, virtual reality, is a computer-generated simulation of a three-dimensional image or environment that can be interacted with in a seemingly real or physical way by a person using special electronic equipment, such as a helmet with a screen inside or gloves fitted with some sensors. Okay, so that is VR. It's that truly immersive experience that when a user puts on the headset, perhaps there's even some gloves that have sensors in it. When they put this on, it feels like they're actually immersed in the environment that they're looking at, like they're actually there, so they can turn their head around and see this virtual world in every single direction. Now, that's different from AR in that augmented reality superimposes a computer-generated image on a user's real world. So you can see here in the picture on the phone I've included, this is the IKEA app, by the way. It's really cool. I've used it before when we were redoing our office. What it allows you to do is use the camera on your device to actually look around your real world space. So in my case, that was my office. And search the IKEA catalog, find something that you like, and drop that item down into that real space, that virtual item in a real space, to see how it may fit and how it may look. And it's really neat because you can walk right up to it, and on the screen of your device, you can see this virtual object like super close even. I remember going underneath the dresser I was looking at, the desk rather, that I was looking at, and you could see even the individual screws that were in the drawer that kind of goes underneath the desk. So super cool stuff. Perhaps most of you would be familiar with Pokemon Go, the phenomenon from, is it 2, potentially 3 summers ago, I think, when that became hugely popular worldwide, and that was the really big kind of first augmented reality experience for most people. So there you have it. That's kind of the difference between virtual reality and augmented reality. So moving on. A couple things to think about really here. VR is a revolutionary technology that provides those powerful experiential learning opportunities for students. And I love that word experiential because students through VR are able to experience the world around them. They maybe even provide them with experiences that they may have not had otherwise. So again, they're experiencing something like they're actually there, hence the experiential learning opportunities for our students. This is also a good quote from Aristotle: having information isn't learning. For the things we have to learn, we learn by doing them. And virtual reality certainly provides that platform for students to feel like they are doing something, they're participating in something, they're participating and actively immersed in a world. If they have a more advanced VR device or hardware, they can even manipulate objects in this virtual environment. So they are experiencing new things, it feels like they're there, and they're also doing them as well. Okay, so they're having these experiences. And what we hope when we put all these things together is that we're providing our students with sticky learning, something that they're not easily going to forget because they're just tapping into all kinds of senses for these students. So the possibility of retention of this information is really quite high because of that level of engagement and immersion. All right, SAMR model. All right, I just love the SAMR model. I usually find some way to weave it into a PD session that I'm running because it's just so relevant. So if you've never heard of it before, feel free to Google it after the session's over, or right now, I suppose, and type in SAMR and then select images, and you're going to see this information represented in differently, like in different visuals. You're going to see it represented somewhat differently. I just like this one. It's kind of straightforward. So you can see here, it's kind of an acronym. So if I were to start at the top, we have substitution. Okay, so substitution technology is a direct substitute with no functional change. So this is technology just for the sake of using technology, but it doesn't really enhance or provide students with any extra learning opportunities. And it may even be better. Sometimes let's not get too caught up in what's new and shiny. Sometimes it may be better just to take out a piece of paper with chart paper and just go traditional, old-fashioned way. Because again, tech might actually, if anything, maybe take more time or not be as provide the learning opportunities that just traditional methods might. So let's bump that up to augmentation. Technology acts as a direct substitute with functional improvement. So this one is with functional improvement. Something like this might be using a word processor like Google Docs as opposed to writing with paper and pen. Because that word processor, the functional improvement might be the spell checker, the grammar checker, the ability for other people to add comments, etc., etc. You can see how writing in a traditional sense, like with the paper and pencil, obviously doesn't have those tools built right into that model. Going ahead to modification, technology allows for significant task redesign. So this is doing a task, and technology is so crucial to that task that it actually redesigns that experience and modifies that experience for the students because of the technology that they're using. Okay. And modification is also, you can see on the right-hand side of this graphic, the beginning of that transformational learning opportunities for students as opposed to simple enhancement. All right, the last one, and this is where VR fits, that redefinition category, because VR is technology that allows for the creation of new tasks previously inconceivable. And I'm going to show you a couple of platforms in just a bit, Google Expeditions and CoSpaces, that allows for this, the redefinition of that learning experience for our students. It truly is transformational and is not something that we could have done without the technology being in place. One big takeaway I want you to think about from this one, though, is that we can't just say, oh, redefinitions at the bottom there, it's hierarchical, this is the best, I'm going to stick with it. Sometimes we have to substitute. Sometimes we augment or modify. And occasionally we redefine those experiences for our students. Imagine a swimming pool. We have the deep end. And in the deep end lies our modification and redefinition, which is great. And over at the other side of the pool, we have our shallow end, which may consist of substitution and augmentation. But what we need to do as educators is not just stick in the shallow end, but not even just stick in the deep end. We need to be constantly doing laps. So we're swimming back and forth, dipping our toes in both the deep and the shallow ends, and implementing all four of these different stages throughout our practice. Okay, now I just want to give you an example of the state of VR in school. So here's some VR headsets. These are pretty current ones. I'm just going to work my way. I'm going to start on the Google Cardboard, then jump over to the Oculus Rift and the HTC Vive, and then I'm going to land in the middle of the Oculus Go. So Google Cardboard, some pros to Google Cardboard is that it's very inexpensive. The headset that you see pictured here is about $6. And it is also a very easy entry point into VR because all you need is to buy the cardboard. You may have to fold it up, and then you need a mobile device to put into the cardboard because you need that screen. However, the cons to Google Cardboard may consist of the fact that it's a mediocre experience. So yeah, it provides a VR experience, but it's not necessarily the best experience. I know right now if I put my phone in, it doesn't fit perfectly, so it's a little bit blurry and that type of thing. So yes, it's better than nothing, but it's not cutting edge. And I just mentioned this a second ago, and I've got the point here too, that it requires a mobile device, which is okay probably for our secondary school students or even our students in grade 7 or 8, because they likely have a device that they bring to school. And if they don't, there might be, they could partner up with somebody in the classroom and just share and have that experience together. But if I taught grade 2, my students aren't bringing or don't have mobile devices that they're bringing to school. I don't have a device to put in the cardboard, so I cannot have this type of experience with my students. And we're certainly not going to buy a class set of phones for the kids to use. Okay, but when I talk about Google Expedition, you're going to see that even without the Google Cardboard, even without the virtual reality, we can still get part of the way there. Now let's go to the other side, our Oculus Rift and our HTC Vive. All right, these are incredibly immersive experiences that can be provided through this hardware. However, quite a few caveats. They're very expensive to buy the hardware and the computer, the very powerful computer that is required to run the software. It can get hundreds or thousands of dollars potentially. There's lots of wires associated with these devices, but as these products experience more iterations, what we're seeing is more wireless technologies being introduced into these products. But there's still a lot more wires than some of the other choices. Also, there's a significant learning curve. Okay, we're talking about a device when it's fully configured, costing thousands of dollars potentially, with a significant learning curve. So this is not for everybody. It's really not going to make a big impact on the education market just because of that learning curve and the sheer cost of devices like this. So that creates this sort of sweet spot in the middle where you're pulling together from cardboard the pros, the good things about Google Cardboard, as well as the pros and good things about the Oculus Rift. It's kind of a balanced, you get a bit of a balance here from both sides. So the Oculus Go might be a product to fill that gap. However, it's still expensive. I'm going to talk about class sets in just a second, but it has its built-in screen, so that's good. Okay, and it provides a decent experience, not as good as the Rift or the Vive, but that's certainly considerably better than the cardboard. So you see how it kind of fits in the middle there, and it's much. If you're just going to buy like one or two, it's certainly not that expensive. I think they're like $200 or $300. So significantly more than the cardboard, but also significantly less than what it's going to take to purchase and run something high-end like the Rift or the Vive. All right, there's also another option here too. There are companies out there, Lenovo, Class VR. These are companies that have created products that use class-wide. So teachers or institutions, educational institutions, could buy a class set of these devices and allow teacher to completely control that experience for their students. But it's prohibitively expensive. If you were to buy a class set of class VR headset, you're looking at tens of thousands of dollars to have this fully implemented. But again, it's the learning curve is not as steep. The kids are provided with a rich VR experience, but cost is a significant factor still. So we still have some ways to go before we see VR truly being embraced in our classrooms. We need a device that has a built-in screen, that is highly affordable. It's got not a very steep learning curve. And that will, when we start to see those things, and that they're going to come, and it's always evolving, and iterations of these platforms are constantly coming out, and these devices are being tweaked. So we're going to get there eventually. It's just that we don't have that one perfect device or platform that we can go to at this point to really see this embraced on a large scale. All right, I want to show you now my favorite, one of my favorites anyway, platform or tool for VR and even AR. This has exploded across my school district and many others, I'm sure, too. And that platform is Google Expeditions. If you've never heard of it, I really highly suggest that you give it a try. So grab your personal phone, download this free application. If you have school devices like iPads, for example, I would suggest, again, if you're able to, download it, or if your devices are managed, put in a request and have Google Expeditions added to your mobile devices in your school. All right, so what is Google Expeditions? What are they? Expeditions is a collection of VR and AR content with supporting materials for existing curriculum. There's over 900 engaging VR journeys with 360-degree panoramas and over 100 AR experiences. And that 900 engaging VR journeys is constantly growing. Just a little while ago, they advertised 700, and I looked recently, it was 900, so that's continuing to expand. And the 100 VR experiences, that's growing as well. It's guided inquiry with teacher tablet, includes questions. The guided inquiry component of Google Expeditions is amazing. It includes questions. It includes some information to share with the students before going on the expeditions, while they're on the expeditions. There are artifacts that the teacher can tap on the teacher device that will show their students or direct the students' attention to particular objects or artifacts or items within the expedition. So the teacher just taps on them, a little arrow will appear on the student's device, and it will point to what they should be looking at. Easy to immerse students in entirely new experiences. Okay, so this slide right here, this is just simply a link. If you click on the image, what it's going to do is take you out to this website here, bring your lessons to life with expeditions. This is a Google site here, Google website, I should say, with some information about Google Expeditions that you can check out. I'll just close that tab. All right. So again, that's just the link. Well, now I'm going to play a video here, because I can talk about expeditions and tell you all the things and all the features it offers, but I think it's best that we have a look at it in action. Just a couple things to look for. Look at how the teacher's controlling the experience, and just look at the faces of the kids too. They're clearly very engaged with what they're learning, very excited. So let's just play here, full screen.
You could pick anywhere in the world that you want to go. Where would you want to go?
I would like to go to the moon.
Thailand, ancient Greece,
India, to Nigeria, my homeland.
One or maybe all of the 7 wonders of the world. When you explore different places, you have the chance to actually learn something new.
You want to be able to show the kids that there's something outside of your community that you could go to and learn from, and that there's other places you can visit.
All right, so let's do our objective, and we'll talk about the lesson for today.
We're going to take a field trip to Verona, Italy, to see the place where Romeo and Juliet lived.
I'm going to take you on this field trip under the water. Okay, you guys ready? Pick up your devices
And look in your cardboard.
What is that?
I see a shark.
It allowed us to go somewhere we wouldn't normally be able to go.
Are we in China?
This is the Great Wall of China.
We got to see the place itself, so we could actually understand what she was talking about.
How long would it take to walk the length of the Great Wall of China? So much more enriching than just showing them a picture or just having them read about it.
This device can actually make us go to places that we've never been before.
It brings the lesson to you. You have to see it for yourself to believe it.
There's so much other places to see, so you know that it's never going to end.
All right, so that was Google Expeditions. So as you can see in this video, I'm just trying to make this full screen again. Oops, skip ahead here. All right, that's probably fine. Okay, so as you can see in that video there, the students were very engaged, and if you really listen to what they have to say, it speaks to what I mentioned earlier in this session. The fact that VR provides students with that experiential learning. That's what they're really talking about. They're having a genuine, or as close to genuine as we can get, experience. So you're tapping into the senses. They can actually see the things that the teacher's talking about rather than just hear about them. So once again, that learning that the students are doing through this platform is hopefully going to stick with the students. It's not going to be something that they quickly and easily forgets, because they are experiencing, they are doing. Okay, so that is actually just one further thing too. I have a colleague and friend who is she teaches a developmental education class at a London school, and VR and expeditions is something that she does very frequently with her students, because many of these students they don't have the means or the ability to be able to go on these and have these experiences in real life. So she brings that learning to them within the classroom through this particular technology. So also, again, that speaks to the going back to the SAMR model. and talking about redefinition of learning for students, we could not provide these experiences, and my colleague couldn't provide these experiences for her students if the technology didn't exist for it to be enabled in the first place. All right. Now, if we jump ahead here to Expeditions AR, because it has also the augmented component to Google Expeditions as well. This is newer than the VR component, and so there's not as much material available in augmented reality, but there's still some great lessons for teachers to explore in augmented reality. So let's just have a look here and see how augmented reality is being used in this classroom.
All right, who wants to see a volcano? 3, 2, 1. Look at that lava, look at that smoke coming out of that.
Pretend you're an airplane and fly over the tornado.
That's the top of it. What do you see?
It's either asteroids, meteorites.
We're learning about DNA and genes, things that we can't see. And so the most exciting thing for me with the AR technology was that I could see kids get an aha moment I couldn't get by just telling them about it.
The minute I saw it pop up on the screen, it made me want to get up and walk to it. We actually get to turn around and look at things from all angles, so it gave us a nice perspective.
See if you can figure out what that might be based on what you know about the respiratory system.
I got to see where the alveoli branched off, and I could look inside them and see how everything worked, which I never saw before, and it was really, really cool.
All right, so there's the AR experience. Oops, back this way. Perfect. All right, so again, what I'm hearing through the AR, the students are provided, they're actually experiencing and looking around and looking at the object from multiple angles, and they can actually visualize and see what it is that they need to be learning about rather than just hear about it or look at static images. This is a super engaging opportunity for the students, and it's going to, again, provide that learning that's going to stick with them. All right, the second platform that I want to share with you is something called CoSpaces. Now, Google Expeditions is completely 100% free for anyone to download and use. CoSpaces, though, there is a cost associated. I mean, there is a free version of CoSpaces that's available to try as well. But really, you pretty much need to pay for CoSpaces to truly tap into the potential of this application or platform. Because by paying for it, you have access to this wealth of tools and resources and library assets that don't exist in the free version. And speaking of cost, I think it's roughly $100, $110 for 30 seats or 50 seats, one of those two, and a seat is considered a student. So you pay the money, you have a project that you're doing with your students. When the project is over, though, you can remove the students, so you are able then to reassign the seats to other students in other classrooms that may want to use this platform as well. So yes, there's a free version, and it's, you want to get in there and give it a try, or have your students give it a try to see what they can come up with. Great, but if you find it valuable, it might be something that's worth considering. I'm returning to the classroom in September, and this will be one of the few ed tech tools that I actually pay out of pocket for use with my students, because after having experienced it with one class, I can see how powerful it is. All right. So CoSpaces, just like when we had a look at Expeditions VR and Expeditions AR, I thought I would show a video about what CoSpaces is all about. So this is just a short one.
Everything starts with an empty space. But use the power of your imagination and you will create something new. Introducing CoSpaces, a platform that allows anyone to create, explore, and share fantasy worlds. CoSpaces gives you the tools to unlock a new learning experience, tell exciting stories, or just let your imagination flow. Share the experience with your family. Or scare them with your terrifying T-Rex. Unlimited worlds await to be explored. Just let the fun begin, even in VR. Share your creations with anyone and give them a glimpse into your imagination.
I'm just going to get back into full screen here. Just give me a moment. Over here, present, and we should be good. So yeah, that's CoSpaces. What you saw toward that end of that video, that short video, was students actually viewing the world that they've created in virtual reality. Like, just think about how incredible that is. Students create a virtual environment on their device, like their Chromebook, for example. And so because this is a web-based platform, so they create it on something like a Chromebook, they build it on a Chromebook, and then they download the app for their mobile device, and it's a free app, sign into their account, go into the world that they just created, split the screen using the stereoscopic view that gives us that VR, it provides that VR experience with the stereoscopic view, and pop their device into something like a Google Cardboard, and then they can actually experience the world like they're immersed in it. So they can move through the environment. There's some library assets, like some of the homes that are created so that students can actually open the door and walk right into that house, right into that physical space, and we'll go up and down the stairs and walk through the different rooms and that type of thing. And just imagine how powerful it would be for students to then share their creation, not only with their teacher, but with their peers. So students can then experience each other's creation like they're actually immersed in it, like they're actually there. So again, this is one of those redefining technologies that providing opportunities for our students that would be previously inconceivable had the technology not existed to use in the first place. Okay. I just want to now show you a few things that are built into the application. So you have this creation toolbox. So this is a suite of intuitive tools that let you create almost anything in 3D. You can use the existing assets from the library, building blocks to model your own objects, or even upload external imports. So if you are looking through the library, which already has like hundreds of really great library assets for you to use, but if you can't find what you're looking for, you can do a search. So it searches the web for this, for a 3D asset or 3D object that then you can import right into your world. So for example, I was working with a grade 7 and 8 geography class, and they were working on building sustainable communities. And many of the students wanted to include perhaps the most obvious thing, solar panels, but nowhere can a solar panel be found in the library in CoSpaces. So what they had to do was do that external search, and then they found some 3D objects that could then be easily imported into their environment. So they were able to include their solar panels. And you'll see what those solar panels look like when I show that work in just a few moments. All right, so again, lots of tools in the library, and if you're using it for the free version, you're going to be quite limited with the number of assets that are available for students to use in their virtual environment. Coding features. More and more applications now are building in coding. So you can see here, this is the block-based coding. Many of our students and even us as teachers are probably used to by now. Block-based coding provides those colorful blocks that click together. Each different color has a particular category or different functions. Scratch is probably the most common or widely used example of this block-based coding. But you can see it here in CoSpaces as well. Okay, so what this will allow students to do is code the assets or the objects, whatever you'd like to call them, in their environment to do very specific things. So you can see here how that's done by moving things around just by looking at the code that's on the screen right now. Yeah, so it's ideal for beginners or to get access to scripting languages for more advanced coding. VR, as I talked about just a moment ago, students can step into a new dimension with the power of VR. so they can, again, actually explore their creations in this immersive 360 degree and 3D virtual environment, and they can share it with their teachers and their peers. Okay, I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Just to reiterate, so incredibly engaging and immersive for our students to build something and actually experience it firsthand. Okay, augmented reality. This is also something that you can do with CoSpaces. And I'm going to show you a video in just a second that I created with AR. So switch to the AR mode and project your virtual creations onto the real world with surface plane tracking. So what I've done is I've launched the app on my iPhone and found some work that a student has done, and then I scan the floor with the camera on my phone, and it will then, once it scans the plane or the floor or the tabletop, whatever you're using, once it scans that surface, the student's creation or their environment or their world that they've created will just pop up on that surface, and it will allow them to walk around their object, like physically walk around it. They can zoom in, zoom out by pinching, or they can move the phone into certain features within the world and pull it back out again. So they're really truly kind of seeing from all kinds of angles what it is that they've created. Again, very rich, very powerful learning opportunity for our students to use the AR features and the VR features within CoSpaces. Now, what you see in this picture here is a merge cube. I'm not 100% sure that the merge cube can still be used with CoSpaces, but I have used it in the past. And what it did was you hold this device called the merge cube in front of the camera on your mobile device that's running the CoSpaces app, and the world will just sit on top of or appear as if it's attached to the merge cube. So kind of fun. But again, I think it's you can do this just by pointing the camera to the floor and having that object appear as well in AR. Okay, what CoSpaces also has is this nice account management dashboard. It's very user-friendly, and it provides the teacher with some basic classroom management features. So teachers can create assignments, assign them to the students. Students can turn them in. They can see here, they can manage the students in their classrooms. They can add and delete students. So there's some things that they can do once they have assigned their students an account, or the students have set up an account. Again, each account is considered a seat, and when you buy it, you buy so many seats, and then you assign a seat to particular students. But these can be all deleted if you want to move into another classroom to do another CoSpaces project with a different class. You can delete these users and add the new users in. Okay, so there's your basic class management features. All right, let's just have a quick look at some of the things that were created in that grade 7-8 geography class that I worked with, who were doing sustainable communities. All right, so what you're seeing here, and I'm not going to make these full screen because they're just really short. I'm just going to click on play. Okay, so what you're looking at here is I'm just on my computer. I've signed into the students. No, I'm signed into my account. I'm just selecting the students' work here. There's those solar panels I told you about. Now, they did a search for those. They weren't part of the library assets, so they went to the web and grabbed those solar panels. You can see how well then they work in this world. The signage that you're looking at is basically just a description and how this object contributes to the sustainability of this community. Just having a look around here. Okay, so that is just kind of your regular view. So students, when they're in, they can build and then tap on the play button within CoSpaces, and they can be transported down to the street level and walk around and have a look firsthand like they're actually there. What you're looking at over here to the right of it, if I click on play, this is the stereoscopic view. So students would be looking at this through a mobile, like a headset. So running the app here, I'm using my iPhone. I've just got the stereoscopic view running. I could put my phone inside of a Google Cardboard right now, and I would be immersed in this environment like I was actually there. So this is introduction of VR. The previous video was just kind of, it wasn't virtual reality, it was just kind of flat on my screen. It allowed me to look around, which is okay, but the VR is super cool. But again, if we're doing this with younger students, they may not have access to a device that we can use in Google Cardboard. But for older students that do have devices, that might be an option for you. All right, let's go down here. Oop, That's too far. Let's go back. Jumped ahead here. Sorry about that. Okay, down at the bottom here, you're going to see the AR view. So if I just select play here. So again, this is the exact same student world or environment that I used in the other two videos. I'm just getting another perspective now. So this is, I was just in a school and I scanned the floor and I projected this world down on the floor there. Somebody just walked through it because of course it's not really there. But you can see I pulled the phone in closer to the world. I can have a closer look at it, or I can move further away and see the whole thing. There's a plane kind of just floating in the air. So students get a whole new perspective on what they've created. So it's not just that image on a computer screen that they can walk around. They can view it in VR to feel like they're actually there, or they can project that computer-generated graphic right in the real world using something like augmented reality. So lots of potential for students with this platform. Okay, here are some other fantastic virtual reality apps, and these ones are all completely free. Within is phenomenal. Within has all kinds of things to suit your VR needs, including full-featured documentaries that students can watch in VR. It's just packed with incredible learning opportunities and experiences for students. The one next to that is actually Google Street View. Most people don't know this, but you can view the Street View in virtual reality, again, just by tapping that little Google Cardboard icon that you will see I think it's in the bottom right-hand corner of a YouTube video. If there is a virtual reality built into it, if it uses virtual reality, you're going to see that little icon. You just tap it, splits your screen, pop it into a headset, and the next thing you know, you're looking at using Google Street View like you're actually there. So imagine going to a place, maybe checking out the Eiffel Tower or something like that in France, and having students look at it like they're actually experiencing it firsthand and making estimates about how long it might be from one of the pillars to the other, making estimations for math, okay, and just bringing those real-world connections to the classroom. It's fantastic. Lots of opportunities for Google Street View across all kinds of different curriculum areas. I mean, once students see something in virtual reality, it really enhances their understanding, and you might even see greater results in something like their writing because they're able to experience it firsthand. I know that I had a friend who used the Within app, I think it was Within, to show a documentary about refugees. And after the students had finished, you could really hear the students sharing these empathetic experiences about what they had just seen. And some of that empathy came out in the writing because they experienced it like they were actually there, having the experience along with the refugees you saw in the video. Moving down, the next one is Google Arts and Culture, just full of rich resources for classes where you talk about arts and culture. So kids can go inside of museums and art galleries and have a tour like they were actually there. So, and there's lots more to it than just that, more than I can talk about in this video, but that's another one that's free and definitely worth checking out. So that is Google Arts and Culture. The last one is Discovery VR, all kinds of cool science stuff on this one. It's free application, huge amount of curriculum expectations that can be touched upon through Discovery VR. I love all the space stuff that's in there. Students can feel like they're in outer space and things like that. So together, these four, along with something like Google Expeditions and CoSpaces, if you decided to pay for it, would be a wonderful suite of tools to get started with doing some of these things in your classroom and providing our students with a tremendous amount of opportunity to redefine their learning, amazing opportunities for experiential learning through these applications as well. All right, and that brings me to my final slide. So I just want to thank everyone, and if you want, you can give me a follow on Twitter. I often share things that I'm doing or updates to different platforms and that type of things. Perhaps you might get an idea or two. So thanks again for watching, and thank you for the organizers of this online conference for giving me the opportunity to share this introduction to VR with you. If you have any questions, you can shoot me a message through Twitter, and I'd be more than happy to respond. So have a fantastic day, everyone, and enjoy the rest of the sessions. Thank you.